Hello, everyone. Welcome to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. This is the new streamingnetwork.com, home of Going Solo and Going Bold. Today, we're talking about Link to Expert Business Showcase. I am one of your hosts. I am Cece Shatz, the Doyenne of relationship building. I have my wonderful friend here with me, Joanne Weiland. Joanne, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I love to connect people. I love when people collaborate because I really think that's the power behind a lot of the what we would call the superstars or the experts, because they understand that they can't do it on their own. And when they collaborate with other people, just like Cece and I collaborate on this show, we're both co-hosts. We both have interesting topics. Sometimes we only one of us knows more about it than the other, and sometimes both. But it really makes it interesting when we can share the information. And then sometimes we even bring a guest on to talk about their expertise. But you see, just that alone, collaborating with other people to bring your point across so that you can be seen and be heard and be known worldwide with ease. So that's why I created Link to Expert to make that happen as well. But today we want to talk about the power of podcasts, the exposure to it side. So thank
Yeah.
you.
Absolutely. So everyone, if you don't and you haven't seen Link to Expert, go to linktoexpert.com. Check it out. I am actually part of Link to Expert and I use it all the time and I love it. And so definitely check it out because it may be possibly, and I believe it could help your business. So we hope that you'll do that. But today we're going to talk about the power of podcast exposure, which is kind of up my alley because I have been doing podcasting for years. Those of you, if you know me, if you don't, I have been doing I started in radio, right? Internet, everything internet based. I started in radio and then moved to podcasting. Been in podcasting for years. I mean, we're talking what, well over 10 years. I mean, 10, get closer to, I hate to say too long, many years because it's my age, right? So, but I've been doing it. I've been doing podcasting before they even started the Podcasters Association. So that makes me kind of a, you know, dinosaur, I think, in it. But and then we moved to video, right? We're doing, some call it video blog, video cast, video whatever, but it's all internet based. And years ago, I was offered to go on regular radio, you know, AM, FM, and I decided against that because of the regulations were so tough. And I wanted to be able, because we talked a lot about divorce, relationships, feelings, emotions, things like that. I wanted people to be able to just really kind of let their hair down and be able to talk about situations the way they wanted to. And internet is very free in that. And so I decided that I wanted to stick with the internet. And then I also tried regular television, going on the TV, and it was so expensive. And I just didn't really feel like that was our future. I really felt like internet was truly the way to go. And so this is why, you know, it's now newstreamingnetwork.com, why we've decided to stay with the internet base. And now you're seeing more and more, you're seeing cable companies being dropped. I mean, Frontier doesn't even handle cable anymore. They just go straight to internet. So you're going to find that more and more where cable's being dropped and we're going straight to internet. So let's talk about podcasting, because podcasting, people get confused with what is a podcast. Podcast is simply audio, right? It's nothing more than, you know, maybe a conversation, talking on the airwaves with regards to a podcast. Podcast is normally a pre-recorded show, which is then sometimes placed on what we like to call streaming, right? And so that's how we came up with the new streaming network, is because a lot of our shows are not necessarily live, but they're pre-recorded, which is a podcast then, if it's strictly audio, and then streamed on the internet. Now we have live shows, like here on our station, we do live shows which is video format, which is what we're doing, what you're seeing us here now. Then we drop it down into the audio, then play the audio on like Spotify and iHeart and all of the major ones, plus a bunch of smaller ones. We're like on 50 some different networks. And then we also use it and put it up on our radio station and a bunch of other radio stations. I think I don't know, anywhere from 5 to 7 different radio stations that we're on. And so that's kind of like a little bit of our history and a little bit of what it is. So do you have any questions for me, Joanne, with regards to the exposure of podcasting?
Well, I think that's the key that we want to share today, because a lot of people really do have podcasts. I mean, you find them everywhere.
Mhm.
Um, you know, and I think it's important that they do share their knowledge and information. But I also think it's sad when they don't do what we do with the exposure, because I feel like, a lot of times people will think, well, you're going to build it and they'll come, meaning that you're on Spotify, just as an example with your podcast, and everybody will come and watch you there. But there might be some people that aren't Spotify watchers, and they're on other show, they would rather tune in somewhere else. And that's why I thought it was so important for our listeners to know that we do practice what we preach, especially Cece in this case, because she's been doing this a lot longer than me, but how she knew that instead of waiting for people to come to her or expecting people to come to her, she decided to go out there and get her shows on all these different networks. And I think that's really key. I think it's 55 now, and we did recently create a flyer that we can send out to,
Mhm.
and about it, because of the fact that it is wonderful if you do take the time to do podcasts, but if you're not really exposing them to many people or giving many people the option to be able to listen to your podcast, I just feel like you're selling yourself short.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I learned years ago. I mean, I thought, okay, why am I doing this, right? I'm doing it because I wanted exposure because I'm a divorce, dating, and a life coach. And I wanted exposure with regards to what I do, right? And
Right.
so I started thinking that I need to get out there and I need to really, let the world know about me, who I am, what I'm doing, what I stand for, what I believe in, and how I can possibly help them.
Mhm.
And what do I want to do that on only one network where maybe people are only going to Spotify? And then, what about all the people that are going to iHeart? And all the people that are going, to all these other places, right? And so I'm thinking, no, I want to get out to all of them. And I was really poo-pooed by the Podcasting Association when they started coming into play because they said, well, you're everywhere. And I say, thank you, because that's exactly what I want to be. I want to be everywhere. I want you to see me everywhere, right? Because I want to be able to share everything that I have and being able to let people aware of that, of what we do. And so then as I started doing that, I started thinking, well, if I'm having this trouble, right, marketing, getting my exposure out there, other people are having the same thing. So why not? Let's get together, build a network, and let's work together on getting our information out there. So that's how we came up with the Going Solo. So we came up with Going Solo Media. Then we broadened it to Going Bold because we wanted to be more inspirational. And then we decided to add it all together into the new streaming network and really get ourselves out there. So anybody that wants our content, we want to share it with them. Why?
Mhm.
Because we want to be able to expose the world to what we do and what we do best. And so all of our hosts and guests and everyone that's associated with us, have great value, great content, and we want to be able to share that with everyone. So that's how we came up with doing what we do. So if you're in the lane of podcasting and you're only on one network, you're doing yourself a disjustment. You need to go everywhere. I don't care if you got your stuff on somewhere else and you want to come with us and put your stuff on with us. Hallelujah. Come on. We'll be happy to bring you on board. But you need to really have complete exposure to be able to go out there and do it. And there's various reasons, like we were talking a little bit earlier about different reasons why you want to do a podcast, why you want to do video, why you want to do these things. So we can talk about that if you want, Joanne. It's totally up to you what you want to talk about.
Well, I do think that sometimes people do want to hear that because a lot of times maybe they don't really know what they want to talk about on their podcast. And we could give them some ideas, especially since you have such a wide variety of different topics that you even have just on your network. And that might be where we could start. But there's always so many other ways that they could, things that they could talk about that, are of interest to their type of audience.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many reasons why you should do, podcasting or any kind of video. Why you want to be in this type of arena, being able to share your knowledge and your information. And one is you want to be the expert in your field, right? You want to help connect with new people and grow your network, grow grow your whatever your establishment is. You want to be able to do that. Podcasting is a great way to build your brand, be able to build your brand and share it with everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
Podcasting is very efficient use of time. You can really say a lot in a short period of time. You also, and we've talked about this before, where you have individuals that like to, which is why I think it's important. Our network is so strong, is because we have both. We have where you can listen to it on the radio, you can listen to it on, through the podcasting, and then you're also visual. Some people are visual, so they want to see. So we have the video there. And then we do publications, which is where Link to Expert comes into play on our blogs that we do, and then we do press
Perfect.
releases because people like the written form, right? So you want to be able to do that. It's a great way to build relationships with people, both your colleagues and your audience, and individuals that you want to be able to to spend time with. And then let's see. I made a list here. So podcasting allows you to share your expertise, helps you to stand out in a crowd. You're someone, kind of different. You're standing up in front of everyone. You're showing what you have. You're standing out in the crowd. You also build your authority. People come to you thinking you know what you're talking about, what you're doing, because you're talking about it, right? You're sharing with them the reasons why they want to use X, Y, and Z. And so you become the authority on that. It builds your mailing list. Some people like to be able to have their website and say, okay, direct them to, you got to have something you're directing them to, individuals to. So you direct them to your website. You can build your email list. They can subscribe to your newsletter, things like that. We'll talk about making money on it and a little bit later, because that's more intense, I think. Promote your business. You can connect with influencers. You can be an influencer. You can share your story. You're not restricted. It says not restricted on time. Well, unfortunately, podcasting, you are restricted on time, because normally a show isn't, I would say, no more than like, 40 minutes, basically that. You can control your content. Podcasting really cuts things, cuts on your costs and your time. And doggone it, it is just fun. Podcasting is fun. A lot of people like to do podcasting because they can be in their pajamas, and they can podcast and you're not even going to know it. You have no hair, makeup on, or anything like that. So they like that. Um, I'll hear a lot of guys will say, well, I have the face for radio or podcasting. So they're a little intimidated by the video. I was intimidated at the very beginning. And if it wasn't for some close friends that said, you can do this, don't give up. Alex, and he was great with me because I was on his platform at one time when he had it. And that's how we started into the video. And he was so encouraging to me because I was just, oh my God, people are going to look at me and and I'm intimidated by the way I look, and everything like that. This is why I do makeup and all this stuff, but podcasters don't have to worry about that. They're on, you don't see them. So they can just talk and feel comfortable. They can be anywhere. Your background can look like anything. So yeah, so that's one of the benefits of that.
Well, I agree with you, and I think it's really amazing how many people are doing it, and we're just trying to help you recognize that the more exposure you get to it, the easier it'll be. Just like with ours, being on when you're a guest expert on our show, you spend this 1 hour together with us in a conversational interview like we're doing now, and that way you can, we expose it to the 55 networks, but then we, like Cece said, put it out as a press release to all of our hundreds of different media contacts, and then we even convert it to a blog and send it to 95,000 people. So it's just by spending that 1 hour, think of all that exposure you get is, what we're just trying to get across, whether you do it yourself or not, because our database is constantly growing, because anybody and everybody that's a member of LinktoEXPERT consistently wants to stay in front of their contacts. So they add them to the database, their database in LinktoEXPERT, and then we distribute it to those people twice a month. So it's just another way that we're talking about. We do practice what we preach. We do believe that exposure is key. And so we just wanted to share some of our secrets or insights with you so that you can also expand your exposure in it whatever way you want. But just sometimes you don't even think about it till somebody brings it up, whatever topic it is. So that's why today we thought it would be really wise for us to share, especially since Cece has perfected this in many ways, and we're constantly even looking for more ways to get the exposure out there in other ways as well. And we often do that on social media as well. And so, yes, there's just endless ways of exposing your messages, but you just have to distribute them. So.
Yeah. Well, I'm really excited because I think after the first of the year, we're going to probably have another couple TV stations that are going to pick up our stuff. And we're going to be doing something more extensive with the radio part of it. That's going to be building out a little bit more. And it's like, here's the thing. You want to be able to have your information out there as many places as you can. One of the reasons being, and I will tell you right now, is we're having a tremendous amount of problems with Facebook, right? We love Facebook. I'm not going to say anything bad about Facebook, but to be able to connect live shows to Facebook have been a real challenge, right? And so sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. Like right now, we're recording live and we have not connected to Facebook. So we are on all of our Facebook pages. We have 4 of them that we connect with, didn't connect. And I've been going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth with this. And so if that was my only stream, if that's the only thing I was doing, because I have heard of people saying, well, I'm just going to do Facebook Live. You'd have been down, right? So you don't want to put all of your eggs in one basket. You want to be able to, broaden out. So right now we are, going live on LinkedIn. We're live on YouTube. And then I've connected us to some streaming where we're live on several TV stations along with our Roku. So even with Facebook being down right this minute, now I will take this show and re-put it up on Facebook. So it will appear on Facebook. It just unfortunately didn't connect live. But you do not want to have only one place, and you don't want to have your shows like a lot of people, they connect to like, maybe Podbean or Speaker or some of those, and that shoots it out to, several different platforms. You don't want that to be your only part of it, because again, you're narrowing things down for you. Those of you that are thinking about, oh, I don't want to do all the work to it. Well, then go to a network that's already established like we are, and we do all the work for you. We do the artwork. Each show has to have its own artwork. And so we help you with the artwork. You can do it if you want to do it. Or we do it for you. We do pretty much all of the write-up on it. We distribute it. And the beauty of it is that we don't distribute everything bam all at once, because if you were on Podbean or something like that, you would be distributed that's it. So you're one hit wonder and you're over with. So we distribute it in a drip format. So I call it drip marketing. I don't know if anybody else calls it that. But what we do is that you're here 1 minute, then you're there another one. You're on this other platform. You'll do several of them at one time, but you're not all over everything one time. And then this way, you're constantly out there. It's like, I think you have mentioned many times, Joanne, about how many times somebody has to hear the message, in order, like an advertisement, how do they hear it, and they so that they can register and be able to say, oh yeah,
Yeah.
I remember that person, right? I remember that item.
We want them to say, "You're everywhere." I love when people tell me that, "You're everywhere. I see you everywhere." And it's sad, but what Cece's talking about is the latest statistic that I heard was you have to be seen or heard or known 37 times before they even think you're credible. So that's why what Cece does with the distribution of this, and we do with Link to Expert to all these different various people consistently and frequently, it is so powerful. And it just makes your life so much easier because you don't have to do all that. You just spend that time creating your podcast and we'll distribute it to the world for you because of the fact that they really do need to see you or hear you at least consistently so they do know that you really are the expert in your field, that you really are somebody they want to continue to listen to and learn from, and hopefully even hire you as the expert that you are.
Right, right. What we're going to do is let's take a quick break. When we come back, let's talk about money, right? So let's
Okay.
talk about making money. Can you make money at podcasting? How can you make money at podcasting? Should you advertise on podcasting or even the video part of it, right? So I get asked that question all the time. So let's talk about that when we come back. Maybe we can give you some tips on how to go about doing that. That could be beneficial to you. So you guys are listening to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. This is the new streamingnetwork.com. You're listening to Link to Expert Business Showcase. I am Cece Shatz. I have my good friend here with me, Joanne Weiland, and we're going to be right back. So go and get a quick drink, get your pen and paper, and make sure you start taking some notes because this could very well change your life if you are thinking about doing podcasting or in the podcasting field. So we'll be right back. Mm. Well, welcome back. You are listening to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. This is the new streamingnetwork.com, home of going solo and going bold. You're listening to Link to Expert Business Showcase. I am Cece Shatz. I have my good friend here, Joanne Weiland, with me. Joanne, if you don't know her, she's wonderful. She does the community called LinktoEXPERT.com, which is actually the sponsor of this show here today. And let's talk about that. Let's talk about making money because why are we doing podcasting or videocast or radio? Why are we doing it? We're doing it because guess what? We want to make some money, right? We want to keep the lights on. And so that is an important factor of it. And you out there, if you have a business, you need to keep your lights on. So we're going to help you be able to do that by being on a network, a streaming network or a podcast or wherever that you hear that you might want to do. So number one, let's talk about making money. Making money. This has to be a driver. To make a lot of money on podcasting is very, very difficult. So you have to have a driver for that. What I mean is that if you're a podcast host or a video host, you have to have something that you're driving your audience to. For instance, your website or something like that, or something that you do for a living. For instance, Joanne is Link to Expert, right? LinktoEXPERT.com. That's her gig, right? It's a wonderful website, helps many, many businesses, and exposure is tremendous on that Link to Expert com. I, for one, I'm a divorce, dating, and a life coach, and I also own the new streaming network and the Going Solo network. So, that's my gig, right? And so you want to have a gig that you're doing that you want to be able to direct your audience to be able to share with them. So you want to tailor your show towards something that's going to benefit that's going to draw that type of audience in, that's going to want your products and services that you're actually selling. So let's switch it a little bit, because we all kind of know that, right? But let's talk about advertising, sponsorships, things like that. Everybody always says, well, I'll get an advertiser, I'll get a sponsor, and something like that. Well, sometimes it's hard to get an advertiser and a sponsor. Why? Is because they don't get it. You guys out there that have businesses, you need to be advertising on these podcasts. You need to be advertising on these video casts. Why? Because you're talking numbers. And I've heard people say, well, I'm a local business. I don't really want to be on something that's going to be broadcast all around the world. Why? I'm going to ask you why. Why don't you want to be treated as an expert in your field? Why don't you want to have your business earmarked as one of the greatest businesses out there or products out there? Why wouldn't you want that, right? Don't you think that if it's going to be heard around the world, it's not going to be heard in your neighborhood? It's going to be heard in your neighborhood. So you want to do that. So not only are you heard in your neighborhood, you're heard around the world. People think your products and services are above all. So yeah, why not do it? And the other reason, it's inexpensive. I mean, to advertise on and be a sponsor on a podcast or a radio, internet based thing, radio, TV, all of that is so much less expensive than going to your main AM FM radio. So much less expensive than going to your regular television stations, ABC, NBC, CBS, all of those kind of things. To advertise on there, I mean, you're talking millions of dollars. Here you're talking not much, okay? So you definitely want to do that. You can also get packages tailored towards your needs. So, focus on, if you're out there thinking like, how can I make my marketing dollars count? Take your marketing dollars, go to different podcasts, go to different video shows, whatever, and that kind of align with you a little bit, right? That you feel good about it, and put your information on there. Make a 30-second. Everybody should do a quick 30-second commercial. Doesn't take much to do that. If you need help with it, we'll be happy to help you. But there's many. You can go on Fiverr or whatever. You can get a little 30-second commercial done. You can, do it for your business. Do it for your personal thing or whatever. Everybody's getting on Instagram, doing all these reels and all that kind of stuff. Do something like that to where you can put it on as an advertisement, right? So here's the thing. I started out with 0 watchers when I first started in this business. 0, right? Now, just one Roku alone is 6 million. What's that telling you? It's telling you that people are out there wanting to listen, wanting to hear things, right? They want to change their lives. So be a sponsor of that show. The difference between an advertiser and a sponsor is you endorse. When you're a sponsor, you endorse the show. You're saying, listen, this is the show that I want to sponsor. And so when you do that, not only are you sponsoring the show, you're edifying yourself, but you're also having that show talk about you, because they give you a lot more airtime. So you do your little 30-second commercial. Great, 30 seconds over with. Meanwhile, you got the host talking about you, right? They're talking about you. They're sharing about you. They think you're wonderful because you're the sponsor. They'll put you on their website. They'll connect you with other things. They'll share a lot of information with other people about you. So being a sponsor on a show is awesome. So you can work out a deal where you can be a sponsor on one show, or you could be a sponsor on like a monthly show. You could do it for a month. You could do it for 6 weeks. You could do it for a year. We've got several sponsors that do it for the year on the Veterans Corner. We turn down sponsors sometimes on the Veterans Corner. So, the thing is you want to get out there and really be where you can be heard and seen, your products and services. So there are lots of things that you can do on so you can do a video. Like for us, we ask you to do a 30-second video. We ask you to do a 30-second audio. A lot of times the video, it has it's because it's a visual, you'll have maybe some music, or you'll have some different things like that on it. So you'll have a blank air space. So you have to do an audio one. So, but it's really nothing to be able to do that. You can get those made pretty inexpensive. You can use them on your website. There's many, many benefits to that.
Social media, yes.
Right. So let's talk about that. So you do advertisement. If you're a coach out there, my gosh, you should have a 30-second. I mean, I get very passionate about this because you should have a 30-second commercial on whatever show is your genre, right? Now our particular handle is business on this show here. And again, Joanne's got a tremendous reach with business leaders and throughout the world. I mean, it's amazing. And so if you look on, let's say you look on YouTube and you only see a small amount of numbers, don't go by that, because we're on 50 some different platforms, right? So you're on many, many different platforms. But here's the benefit of it. Here's the thing, and people don't get it, and I get so excited. Let's say you advertise. Let's say you're advertising today on our show, right? And we put it up on all these different 50 some different platforms, and they stay. Think about it.
They're
They
archived, yeah.
stay up there. I mean, they're up there. I mean, I've got hosts that have been with me like 4 or 5 years, even longer, right? And their shows are up there. And so all their commercials that they've had are up there. And if you're visual, you're on Roku and you're up there. And Roku even never understands the importance of audio, because now that many people don't realize it, but they have an audio portion of it now. And our shows are now up on the audio, right? So think about it. So not only have you're on that particular show, on that, half an hour or an hour, 40 minutes or whatever it is, you sponsored the show. But guess what? You sponsored that show as long as that show is aired everywhere. And
Yeah.
it's like, remember Lucille Ball, right? You remember those kind of shows, and they played them over and over and over again, and the royalties of that. Well, we don't charge you royalties, right? We don't do that. Not yet, but maybe we will. But think about it. If you're on, let's say your show gets on and you're part of the 6 million, right? And you're not paying royalties. So take your marketing dollars. I'm telling you, if you're in business, take your marketing dollars, get yourself an audio 30-second commercial, get yourself a video 30-second commercial, put it on your website, and start finding out how you can do some sort of, package on various different shows, and get yourself out there. Get your business out there, because that's how I started, by getting my business out there. And now people say, "Oh, I've heard you everywhere." And I want you to do that. And then I want you to say, "Thank you," because that's exactly what you want to do. And you won't spend that much money on advertising at all.
And
So
we
and that's a win for everybody. It's a win for the host of the podcasting, the host of the videos. It's a win for the networks that distribute
guest
it.
experts.
It's a for you as an expert. It's a win for you. I mean, it's a wonderful thing, and we don't talk about that enough, because I think people really should talk about how
It,
important it is to
it
do
helps everyone. And a little bit of trivia here. Speaking of I Love Lucy show, did you ever know Desi Arnaz, Ricky on the
that.
show? He was the one that started all that. Lucy got pregnant, and he wanted her to be able to take the first year off to take care of the baby, little Ricky. And so what he did was he came up with the idea of what having reruns, just like you're saying. And then after that, he even realized, why do we just need to have it on one station? So he syndicated it on all these different networks, just like Cece's talking about. So thank you, Desi Arnaz Jr., for doing that. But I'm serious, he really realized the power of taking that one show and just keep distributing it, and then of course all the shows and syndicating them. So this is exactly what Cece's talking about, and she follows in his footsteps in doing that. And like she said, it's a win-win-win for everybody. And that's what we were talking about earlier in the show about collaborating. Let's create things that is going to benefit everybody, as well as the people that listen and hear and learn all these different information from us different experts at different, because nobody's an expert at everything, but you're an expert at something. So
Mhm.
let's get your word out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, I get so passionate about it because I've been doing this for so long and I love it. And I just think that, again, we have rebroadcasts. So think about it. If you were a sponsor of the show, we do a rebroadcast. We do, especially holiday time. There's always a lot of rebroadcasts that do come across and things like that. So yeah, your show will be not only up there, as a live show, but then your advertisement would continue on. So it is a true win. And I just don't think people realize how important it is. Plus, you can put it on the investment that you make for it. You put it on your website. And so it's a benefit for your website. And then also Google. Think about it too. Google, like what we do a lot of times where we do the show. And so you have the advertisers, the sponsors, all of that. Then you get into the press release, right? If you're a guest, what better advertisement is that, right? So what you ought to do, here's a kick for you. It's a real trip is if you're a guest, let's say you're a coach, right? We do a lot here on divorce. I'm going to use throughout divorce, right? Could be a dating, could be life, it could be anything. But if let's say you're a divorce coach, right? Be a guest on the show, be a sponsor on another show, not necessarily maybe on that show. You could be that show or maybe another show. Get your advertisement in, right? And then you've got all of your bases covered, right? And then you go to the link to expert and you pay a little extra money, you do a press release, you do a blog, then you've got all the Google, the SEO, right? So you're covered for all the SEO stuff. It's a win situation. You've spent hardly any money at all. I mean, it's a total a great thing. So there's a lot of things that you can do to be creative and helping your business. So yeah, if you need any more help with it, I'd be happy to help you. So I want to make sure we give out our information. So again, it's there's so much you could do with it. There's so much happening right now. There's such a buzz on all of this stuff with regards to radio, internet based, like radio, podcast, and now going into the video. And so there's a lot happening, a lot of things that you can do. So if you need to build your business, I mean, we can certainly help you do that. And I know that Joanne has, her community is huge. So if you need help with that, most certainly.
Well, the
So
other day someone said to me, did you know you're on 16 pages on Google? I didn't realize it. I mean, so I just invite you, the listeners and viewers, just for curiosity, Google yourself and see how many pages you have, because it takes a long time to do it. But if you're doing what we're doing, you do get so many more hits on Google because of the fact that you're seen and heard different places. So I mean that itself impresses people. So, and it's all part of what we're talking about. It's all goes hand in hand. So we do encourage you to take this seriously
yeah,
because we
definitely.
do
I mean,
that
like we've got it covered because we've got the on our our site, we have where you could be an elite, right? You pay very little money and you become an elite. On that, all of your information gets put on there. All of your links get put on there. The shows that you're on, if you're on any of the shows, those get highlighted. And then you also get into our directory. We have our own directory, which is the Going Solo directory. You get put in the Going Solo directory, and then that's where the singles kind of go and gravitate to, but it's such a robust one. Then you get, the exposure in the Link to Expert. So, I mean, if you're in a business, you ought to be on as a guest on this business showcase, and you should be definitely, be highlighted here as a sponsor or an advertiser or something like that. So I don't know. I can go on forever and talk about it because it excites me, because I just don't know if people get the volume of their exposure. If
And
they,
how easy it is because
yeah,
we do the work for them,
yeah,
done for
right.
you. So yeah, so we really unfortunately are out of time, but
Mhm.
we really are passionate about this because we really do want to help you be known as the expert with ease.
Right. So if you want to be a guest, if you want to be, going bold, right, and be a guest, be a host, you can just reach out to me if you want at goingsolonetwork@gmail.com. That's goingsolonetwork@gmail.com. Or you can reach out to Joanne at info@linktoexpert.com, linktoexpert.com. So info@linktoexpert.com. So if you want to be a guest on our show, guest on any show, just reach out to us and let us know. If you want to be an advertiser, which I would highly recommend, and we can help you if you need assistance in getting your 30-second commercial, or if you want to be a sponsor on the show, definitely reach out to us and let us know. But yeah, I mean, if you want to make the most, for your dollars with regards to your advertising budget, you certainly want to advertise on podcasts, on internet radio, and on the internet video, the video cast, I think they call it. Some people call video blogs. They call it all kinds of different things. But the power of exposure is tremendous. It truly is tremendous. But we do have to go. And I just get so excited when we talk about this subject. We need to talk about it more, I think, because yeah, it's my hot button. So
We will.
yeah.
We want you to succeed and make money, and not just to make money, but be known as the expert because that is your passion. That is what you love. That is what you do best. So why not share it with the world?
Yeah, absolutely. So you guys are listening to Link to Expert Business Showcase. I am one of your hosts, Cece Shatz. I have my good friend Joanne Weiland here with me. You're listening to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network, which is our radio station. And then, of course, newstreamingnetwork.com, home of Going Solo and Going Bold. Check us all out. Have a look at everything, and then let us know when you want to get started on being a guest or a host, or just being an advertiser or a sponsor, because we would love to have you come on board with us so we can get your exposure out to the millions that are just wanting to hear all about your products and services. So thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll catch you next time. Bye for now.